People have said about you for a long time that you're undersized. When did you start first hearing that feedback about your body type?
I remember a time when it wasn't. You know, people used to phrase it better as like, oh yeah, maybe you'll grow in the future, you know, you'll get there eventually, but
That's nice.
it was never really a deterrent for me. You know, it's something that's been around me my entire life. I doubt it'll go anywhere, but it's not gonna change how I act.
Bryce Young was born on the shorter side for a quarterback, but he ain't never let that stop him from being great. Welcome to Before the Accolades, brought to you by Versace Boy ENT, with your host, the Big Potato. Bryce Christopher Young, born July 25th, 2001, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but he grew up in Pasadena, California, so he's really a West Side kid at heart.
I'd like to thank my city, Dina, for molding me into the young man I am, and for the community always showing support.
Bryce Young grew up playing football and basketball in his youth.
So actually, originally, I pretty much fell in love with basketball. I played both sports growing up my whole life pretty equally.
And his father, Craig Young, was a pivotal part in Bryce Young's development and just his life, like a dad should be.
I tell him, even if you weren't my son, the way that you play, you'd be my favorite player to watch anyway, because I just love the way that he plays.
So this has been a long time journey the two have been going through together. Early on in life, Bryce Young was deemed too short to play the quarterback and point guard position. But Craig Young never let that outsider talk stop him from believing and investing in his son.
I got him a quarterback coach, and I remember that was an interesting discussion at the household, especially when she found out how much private quarterback coach cost, and then she's at 6 or 7, she's like, what in the world are you doing?
You gotta really believe in your child and believe that they can be great. But Bryce's dad wasn't the only one on his side. When he was in 7th grade at a throwing session with his quarterback coach, Bryce and his dad met Kevin Pearson, the head coach of Cathedral High School in California. And Kevin actually told Bryce's dad, don't ever let a quarterback coach or any of these coaches in middle school or high school try to change Bryce's throwing mechanics, because he already had such a natural quick release. And all this training and work from an early age would pay off for Bryce pretty early in his life, if you ask me.
So in my mind, I envisioned Bryce as going to be this kind of under-the-radar kid that was going to go to some high school that no one heard about, and that he was going to do well because he had all this training, because he'd been training with NFL guys, and he was so fundamentally sound. And so I thought that was going to be his path. So then we go to the Ducks.
My 8th grade year, I played on a really high-profile team called the IE Ducks. I went to Florida to play, Arizona, all that type of stuff. So I was blessed enough to get a lot of exposure.
The team ends up winning a national championship in Florida. He throws the game-winning touchdown pass to another player. And that's kind of when we decided that he's probably not going to play basketball anymore.
The head coach of Texas Tech, Cliff Kingsbury, he texted my current QB coach at Cathedral, and he's like, you know, come down to Texas Tech. He looks really good. I want to see him throw. I went down to Texas Tech, went to Lubbock, Texas, threw really well. I was blessed enough to get an offer, and it was really surreal for me, especially to get it at such a young age.
Now it's time to take you to Bryce Young in high school. Full-time football player now. Bryce Young would attend Cathedral High School for his freshman and sophomore seasons. Maybe Kevin Pearson was trying to build that relationship early back in 7th grade. As a freshman at Cathedral High School, Bryce Young would split time with the varsity quarterback. Now listen to this though. The guy Bryce Young was splitting time with was a 3-year starter in his senior season, and he was the reigning region player of the year. Bryce Young was pushing him as a freshman.
Came in as a freshman. I knew I was going to play varsity. And the coach told me I was going to play every second quarter. That was the deal going in. I'm going to play second quarter just to prepare you for next year. Play second quarter of our first game. It was kind of a blowout, so I ended up playing 4th. Same thing with our second game. The Loyola game came around. We've been playing 2nd and 4th the whole time. You know, let's just put him back in the 4th. So just out of nowhere, coach is like, Bryce, get in. I was like, okay, cool.
Promise I won't let up or pretend. This year I'ma need that fucking biz. I ain't really into following these trends. A young nigga really focused.
I get in, I do well, but we go down there. It was a good drive.
Bryce Young called his own single touchdown.
Second drive, I'm on the run, like I make someone miss, I roll out to the right, I feel like a 7-yard pass. And our receiver, he goes up and he drops, and this is us up to 7 minutes left. And then the senior comes back in, we end up winning off a missed field goal. And then ever since then, I played second and fourth.
Before Bryce's junior season in high school, JT Daniels, then starter at Mater Dei High School, a powerhouse in California, ended up enrolling a year early at the University of Southern California. Powerhouse school meets powerhouse player. It was a marriage made in heaven. So Bryce Young transferred to Mater Dei his junior season, and he would lead Mater Dei to the state national championship and win it his first year there. Fun fact, in his first playoff game, that junior state championship run, Bryce Young threw 7 touchdowns. I don't know what they worry about height for. He was proving it on the field clearly. He was named the Max Preps Junior Player of the Year. And before his senior season would start, on September 22nd, 2019, Bryce decided to commit to the University of Alabama.
How did you land on Alabama when you probably had so many choices out on the West Coast?
For me, I was just looking for the best fit and the place that would push me to be the best version of me. Tua, and seeing how he played, seeing how dynamic and the plays he was making, it was really inspiring for me. And then the more and more I looked into it, you know, the decision became clearer and clearer.
And I'm sure Nick Saban couldn't wait to get Bryce Young to Alabama when he saw what Bryce did his senior year. Straight video game numbers, no exaggeration. Listen closely. Bryce threw for 4,528 passing yards, 58 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns. So that's 68 touchdowns total. He accounted for 4 or more touchdowns in every game except for one as a senior. Had 19 touchdowns in 3 playoff games that year. He also won USA Today Offensive Player of the Year, was named the Gatorade Player of the Year for California, and left high school as the #1 ranked dual threat quarterback. And Bryce brought all this hype with him to Alabama. But at Bama, it wasn't quite what he was used to his first season there.
All of a sudden, you got to take a back seat to Mac Jones.
Yeah, that was, you know, I would be lying by saying that wasn't difficult. Kind of had to have that shift really after the first few games and realizing, okay, Mac's the guy.
After being the backup for a season, Bryce Young picked his career right back up where he left it off, dominating. In 2021, Bryce would set the Alabama single-season passing yards record with 4,872 yards. He had also set the Alabama record for passing touchdowns in a single season with 47 to only 7 interceptions. He would also set the Alabama record for most passing yards in a single game on November 20th, 2021 against Arkansas with 559 yards. And he had another record set that season as well, the most passing yards in the SEC championship with 421 yards. He threw for 1 yard too many. If somebody's setting all these records, they're gonna have some awards that follow with it, and that was no different for Bryce. He won the Maxwell Award for the best offensive player in college. He was named AP College Football Player of the Year. He won the Davey O'Brien for the best college quarterback. He won the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. And then the award that topped it all off,
the winner of the 2021 Heisman Memorial Trophy, Bryce Young.
first ever Bama quarterback to win the Heisman.
I've always been someone who's been, labeled as not the prototype. Being an African-American quarterback, being, quote-unquote undersized and not being that prototype, I've always been ruled out and counted out. And people a lot of times have told me that, I wasn't going to be able to make it. And for me, it's always been about, not really proving them wrong, but proving to myself what I can accomplish.
A guy that they tried to say was too short, his list of accomplishments and accolades isn't short at all. And he's only going to keep adding to it because at the time of this recording, Bryce Young hasn't even played his junior year at Alabama yet. And you saw as a sophomore, he achieved basically everything possible except for winning the national championship. Go Dogs! Had to get ours, you feel me? But I know revenge is on his mind. Your boy the Big Potato. I'm very excited to see what Bryce Young is going to do as a junior and very likely his last season in college football. I'm pretty sure he's going to end up being a top 10 pick in the 2023 NFL draft, possibly first overall. Hit that like, subscribe button for me, please. Who do y'all think is going to win the Heisman this year? Let me know who I should put on the next episode before the accolades. I'll see y'all another time. Big Potato, out.